A little preface before going in. I've been withholding this video for a while now, due to wanting to see if the problems I discuss will be fixed on December 8th, or if any new problems should arise. Needless to say,
nothing was fixed.
What I'm gonna say does not reflect my views on the rest of the game. Let me be clear. I'm enjoying my time with the game, especially with friends. The point of this video is to point out issues plaguing Halo Infinite's theater, because, honestly, I think its potential is being squashed. And I hope 343 can address these issues within the coming months. Now, let's begin. Theater has been an interesting component of Halo. Since its introduction, it influenced a wave of content creators to create the machinima boom, and has become a more implemented feature in modern games. But after Reach, Halo's theater has had a rocky road, to say the least, and issues within the games and the mode itself have held back any innovations made, and ultimately, the decline of Halo Machinima's popularity. To understand, I use Halo Reach due to its very convenient features and robust theater. It's not that difficult to get armor. There's a wide selection of theater settings, and every feature just works. It's easy to drop in and create content. Halo 5, on the other hand, did introduce Machinima mode, a live method of directing and recording sessions, and the Forge. It was extremely useful to create amazing sets. But these great additions were truncated by severe desync issues that, when replayed in theater, would have players move differently or be in different locations. There was a chance everyone's armor would reset to recruit. Your birthmarks wouldn't save. The initial controls were not very intuitive. For example, in every other game, to zoom in, you just hold down the right stick. But in Halo 5, you used to have to hold down both the right and left stick, which was an issue since half the time, Halo 5 wouldn't recognize this input. And rewinding clips took you back 30 seconds, instead of the convenient 5. This isn't counting everything else around the game that making Machinima a more laborious task. You couldn't just drop in like previous games. You had to work around issues and grind just to make something decent. And unfortunately, the same thing is happening with Infinite. Let's get this out of the way. Infinite does have some improvements. For starters, there's now an event timeline that records certain actions within the game. If you want to go to a specific moment quickly, you can just drop in on that moment. For Machinima, directors could use this as an organization tool to create points in a theater clip to show when a new scene starts, by just killing another player. The FOV slider now acts as a pseudo camera lens picker. You can have a very closed-in shot, or a fisheye ultra-wide. You can even rebind your theater controls to make it more convenient for yourself. You can now manually go slow motion by adjusting the pressure you put on the right trigger. And that's about it. All of these improvements are mute due to the main problems around theater and machinima mode. We'll start small and head up. If you want to disable outlines, you have to do it while the clip is live. If you make any changes if the clip is paused, those changes will revert. There's also an issue where if you have the game paused and you're trying to go in the in-game settings, the clip will just resume. So that FOV thing I talked about, it's going to be difficult to change that on the fly. I don't really worry about audio since I usually just redo all the audio and sound effects myself. But people still rely on the in-game audio, and it's a mess for them. You can't disable the AI or the announcer voices, and I've tried.
Active camo available.
Lighting is inconsistent. When I was filming my beta short, I chose that arcade area because it has some nice bright lighting with orange highlights reflecting on the subjects. But when I went into theater, that unique lighting was not present. Apparently, certain lights do not render in the theater, regardless if you're indoors or outdoors. In fact, some objects aren't rendered, such as the frigate and high-powered. It's just gone.
Future me here. Apparently, while filming this, there's a chance your HUD will stay on during the camera mode. That's fun.
In previous Halos, your rewind would take you back 5 seconds, and it seems that's the case for Infinite with ranging from 5 to 10 seconds. Except, if you do rewind the characters, they'll start freaking out. Instead, you have to rewind several times to ensure the physics won't mess up. And even then, there's still a good chance the physics and characters will start spazzing out. On top of that, if you rewind or fast forward too much, it will automatically switch you to a different player. It will even have certain prompts just pop up, even if you're not focused on that player. There's an oddity that if you're in the free cam and you try to go into vehicles, it'll just switch to a very warped first-person view. Remember when I said you could manually change your controls now? Well, you have to if you actually want to go up and down, because apparently, this was not mapped to any button. When you do use it, it makes a sound for some reason. In fact, there's a lot of UI sounds now, and a playback feature where the core audience would find this inconvenient. Machinima mode does not work. Kinda. It functions the same as Halo 5, even with the same controls, but if you go into the camera mode and try to move, the scoreboard will stay up. Not only that, but you can only move in this state. There's no shooting, jumping, crouching, throwing grenades, using equipment, or even switching weapons. And if you want those outlines to go away, there doesn't seem to be an option unless you go into theater. There's also no weapon lowering. I don't think I need to explain why that's terrible.
Hey, future me again? I've actually found 2 workarounds for this issue. One way is while you're in the camera mode is to press the pause and select button. Another way is to go in your options menu and select the scoreboard and change from tap to hold. It's a bit annoying that this isn't the default, because now to make machinima mode work properly, we have to do a bit of finicking around.
No matter if you use machinima mode or theater, you will come across an annoying issue where the camera will just go fast. Like, needlessly fast. It might look like I'm spazzing out here, but this is just me trying to lightly move my stick to set up a simple shot, and it is a chore. What? Oh, that's actually a feature? Well, I've just been informed that apparently this is actually a feature. In machinima mode, you can change the speed of your camera. The button combination for this is X and up and down to increase and decrease your camera speed. So it's not actually a bug, but me accidentally increasing the speed. But that brings 2 new issues. You want to know what the button combination is for switching and getting out of the camera mode? X and up. The button combination for increasing your speed? X and up. What should be the button combination for weapon lowering is X and down. The button combination for decreasing your speed is X and down. You can see why this is a problem and why many people, including myself, thought this was a bug, because this didn't happen beforehand, and it's not really telegraphed that this is happening, unless you switch on coordinates. Which brings on to it another issue. This is not initially telegraphed or even told to the player. In Halo 5, you could change the camera speed, but you had to switch to the pan cam and manually do it, so you never run into any issues of accidentally increasing or decreasing your speed. In Halo Infinite, it's always on and shares similar button combinations with other functions, so you're always going to be accidentally increasing and decreasing your speed and not realizing that it's not a bug. I even tried to see if this would affect theater, and no, it still borked. In fact, you can immediately go fast in the start of a clip. It's still there. In fact, issues that plagued Halo 5 are back in Infinite, such as the desync during playback and theater clips not showing up. Or it will have the clip name but switch it with a different clip. Or it will be there and suddenly disappear the next time you log in.
Well, obviously you need to bookmark it.
Does not matter. It can still happen. I've heard it's a safer bet, but it still happens and it's not a reliable method to preserve your clips. Speaking of desync, it's much worse here. Depending on what you do in the game, the theater clip will go off script and do whatever it wants. I've heard this mostly happens when you're doing objective game types, and if you're holding or dropping an objective, everyone will just go off and do their own thing and not actually play back what happened. This is a big issue if you're body acting a very complicated and coordinated session, because guess what? There's a chance it can glitch out and everything you did will be completely different. All that body acting, wasted. Split screen is back after being removed in Halo 5, and if you're someone like me who heavily uses split screen for their machinimas, there's an issue here. Sometimes in the lobby, if you have another account, It won't register that there's 2 local accounts on the lobby, and it won't let you load into the game and bring up errors. I had to wait about a couple minutes or just exit and quit out of the game for it to register that there's a second player. And what makes it worse is that these issues are not rarities. No, this is stuff that can frequently happen to your theater clips. Halo 5 had its problems, but it's at a state where these were rare occurrences, or there were workarounds. In Infinite, this is the norm. You just have to deal with using a broken theater and machinima mode. No workarounds whatsoever. And this is not counting the issues around the game that can affect your use of theater. You can't properly save game modes, most of the time. This is an issue if your project calls for a specific game setting. What happens is if you save a game type, there's a chance of it not saving. Or if you make changes to a game type, there's a chance of it reverting back to its default settings. You even have to make sure your theater is set to open if you want to view back theater clips with this privacy issue. I don't know. It's a roll of the dice if your custom game lobby even works. Like, server issues in general can screw up your sessions. There's some issues with weapon reloads that look strange and unfinished. And some particle effects like explosions or muzzle flashes just won't show up. Or sometimes particles may just go in an entirely different direction. Then there's progression and customization, which is an entirely different beast of itself. Just know, it makes it much more difficult to keep track of what body actors have than Halo 5. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. It's a real shame, because there are improvements made to theater that Infinite made, but you can't use them properly when there's so many issues piled on top of each other that make it less reliable to use than Halo 5. It really sucks because I was looking forward to this theater. When I heard it was gonna have an event timeline, my mind was racing with ideas of what that was. The first 5 minutes was filled with wonderment and experimentation, seeing what we could do with the new tools. But when I actually tried to make a short, that excitement turned into deep disappointment. Until these issues are fixed, I'm only gonna make about 1 or 2 shorts. That's it. I have no plans for Infinite if this is gonna be the norm. I'm just gonna stick with MCC and maybe finally commit to Halo 5. I'm sorry, but I did not have fun making the beta short. This is the time it took for me to make a short in MCC, and this was the time it took to film a short in Infinite. All that extra time was filled with nothing but frustration and troubleshooting. The only frustration I got from making something in MCC was my own mistakes. And that's how it should be. Me getting angry at my own trial and error, not with the game mode itself. My frustrations are shared with many other people, including much bigger directors than I am.
It's just hard. Not hard, but it's not the easiest to use, and it's just kind of finicky, and it kind of sucks a little bit.
The consensus is that, it needs a lot of work. It's pretty broken, and there's a lot of issues everywhere, and it's overall, it feels like a step back from previous theater mode.
Now, I've enjoyed using theater mode in other Halo games a lot, but Infinite's theater mode is different. It has some problems that need to be addressed in order to make it the good feature it should be.
It doesn't let you shoot or do anything. You can only move around. You can't even crouch. These machinima controls are kinda stupid.
The theater mode was really and if it was really too buggy to use, I jumped in, and it is too buggy to use. I thought people were over-exaggerating, and they're definitely not.
Theater is half busted. It seems like a coin flip if it allows you to watch your previous match or not. Some matches you can and some matches you can't. I have no idea why.
We have a theater mode in Infinite right now, but holy crap, my dude, the theater is just undescribable in a bad way.
Said, for what was supposed to be such a simple video, I unfortunately encountered a lot of issues.
My honest recommendation: don't use Infinite. Maybe it will be fixed by the time Forge comes out, but that's a long way down the road. Until then, use something else like MCC or hell, even Halo 5. I don't really blame or have much addiction for 343. Honestly, they should be focusing on the core gameplay and the campaign. That's what most players are going to be doing, and that's where the money is going to be made. Not for me just making video game movies. But they shouldn't have released theater or machinima mode when they're in this state. Halo Infinite is a damn good game. but a horrible machinima engine. Use something else.